the McDonald Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Oh my God, let's just get into it. It's the slap heard around the world, seen around the world, talked about around the world. Here we go. So first, let me just tell you about where I was when I first heard about it. So I was doing my live Juicy Scoop, which when I realized that we booked this on Oscar Sunday, maybe it was a few years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, I did not care to watch the Oscars. My Juicy Scoopers didn't care. I'm pretty sure the show was sold out. Of course, you can watch it tomorrow. I'll give those details later. But so I didn't know, and I was doing something, and then I had to go run and do a little costume change. And that's when I heard, oh my God, Will Smith just hit Chris Rock. And I immediately thought, it's fake, it's staged, they're friends. Oh God, they're trying to, start some buzz or something. We continued the show, and then at the very end of the show, we got a question about it. We started to talk about it and informed the audience of what had happened. And so then I watched it and read everything. And just to remind you guys, Chris Rock was not the host of the show. The hosts of the show were Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, and Regina Hall. And I have not had a chance to watch their monologue. I assume they were funny. They're funny women. The first time for three women to host it. And so that was exciting. However, nobody's just in true comedy form. No one's talking about the female comedians. They're only talking about the male comedian, Chris Rock, after a big show. So Chris Rock gets up there to, I think he was presenting about about a documentary category, and he goes in to make some jokes, and Jada Pinkett Smith is there, and her head is shaved. And so he goes, hey, looking forward to G.I. Jane 2, Jada. And Will laughs. Jada's rolling her eyes heard that before, whatever. I don't know. And then right away, at least the way the video shows, right away, Will is on stage walking towards him, and he's like, oh, come on, King Richard, which is the part that he's been nominated for and won the Oscar last night for. And we've slow-moed it. It sounds like a punch, but it's more like maybe it's a punch turned into a slap. I don't know, because the hand leaving the face is flat. It's a smack, but he got hurt. And Chris Rock is like, whoa, oh my God, and the audience is laughing, just like they laughed when I passed out on stage. And, to that note, people think, was this fake? Okay, I don't think it's fake for the same reason that people thought my thing was fake when I fainted on stage. There's no way Chris Rock would do it on that joke, because it wasn't a great joke. So if you're going to do something that you think is going to go viral, you would make sure that it was that the hit happened after the funniest joke that you've ever said. And G.I. Jane joke about a woman with a shaved head is pretty bad. It's a movie that was 30 years ago. It just was a very low-hanging fruit joke. And just like when I passed out, I was joking, saying oh, don't mean to brag, still got my period, making fun of the fact that that is a hacky thing that women comedians have been criticized for, is talking about their period. But that's the thing that now people associate with me and are like, she's not that funny. So I definitely do not think this was fake. And then Will Smith sits back down. The audience is laughing, thinking it's fake or it's staged or whatever. And maybe it hopefully wasn't a real hit, but it was. As we got, like I said, you should get close to see it. Then Will screams out, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth, and then screams it again even louder. And honestly, that's the hit was really terrifying, and I think it's really triggering for a lot of people to have seen that. Oscars are something that you watch with your kids and your grandma. It's way worse than when Janet Jackson's Little Nip came out on the Sunday Super Bowl. This is way, way worse. But the mean screaming from a man to me is was almost more scary because anyway, so the night continues and he wins, which I have an episode. I know I said it from the moment I heard that the movie was being made. I said Will Smith will be nominated and win an Oscar for it. I knew it. He is a great actor. And so he gets up there and he's just bawling, crying. And, what was this all about? I mean, is he like going through something mentally, or is he just so privileged that something pissed him off and he decided to react at it? Because, I mean, besides hitting Chris Rock, which, by the way, he apologizes in his speech to the Academy, to the fellow nominees, to everybody in the room, never apologizes to Chris Rock. But also, this is why when your kids are graduating from high school, they send out that thing and they say, please don't, do fireworks and when we say your kid's name, because the next kid, it really affects their moment. And this is exactly what he did. This is way worse than Kanye taking Taylor Swift's Academy Award, not Academy Award, but her VMAs. That was shitty for Taylor Swift, but this really put a damper on everybody else that won. Like, nobody else is talking about anybody else's speeches or who won or any other surprising moments. And so, like, that's very rude that you just made the whole Oscars about yourself. And the fact that it would seem like it was such a snap decision makes me think maybe there is something mentally going on. But one thing that I posed the question of is like, the way everyone reacted to it, the fact that Chris Rock didn't press charges because the police did do a little incident report, but then they said there was an incident that happened here, like people got it from the LAPD, but the Chris Rock decided not to press charges, which we knew he wouldn't. But, if it was two straight men like they are, and of any, type of thing, I think also them being at the same level of in the industry, they were both powerful. I think people are just like, okay, they were somewhat equal. Now, Will Smith is much bigger than Chris Rock, but still, like, what if the height was really different? What if one was gay and one was straight? What if it was two women doing it, how it would be perceived if two women hit each other? I think it's just interesting that, that's why I think people originally thought it was a joke, because they were like, oh, they must know each other. They, run in the same circles. Now, I know that Will Smith is like, I hope I get invited back to the Academy. He said that. I hope I get to do this again. I know that he's a member of some country clubs, and, sometimes people get kicked out of country clubs when they get in trouble for like a white collar crime or something like this, like a domestic violence charge, or, there's like a moral code thing. So I'm just curious, will anybody do anything about it? Or is it just forgiven because he's crying and he won the Oscars and he apologized and that's it? But the violence is really shocking. And now let's get into the comedy. Okay. So, here I am. I'm on a stage. It's a very vulnerable place to be when you're on the stage. Sometimes you can faint and fall and there's no furniture. Sometimes people do charge the stage while you're on there, and it's terrifying. And that has never happened to me. I've had people yell out at stuff. I'm going to talk later in the show with Jessica Kirson, who's a hilarious comic. We talk a little bit about this. We recorded it last week. Of just, you never know who's in your audience. My sister was saying, where was security? I'm like, why would you? This isn't a regular comedy club where you might have security nearby because there's wackos. It's a room full of the most elite, rich people. Everyone you can't just buy a ticket to the Oscars and be a weirdo and be up front. Everybody up front was, I don't think they were worried about those people getting up and attacking someone. Now, yeah, maybe there will be like some plainclothes men in tuxedos carrying guns. Maybe they were there, but they may have thought, again, this must be part of the act. It's Chris Rock. It's Will Smith. They must know each other. This must be a fun thing. The history behind it is they had beef because I guess many years ago, Jada and Will banned or maybe it was just Jada, but they banned going to the Oscars because they were doing the hashtag Oscars so white. So they didn't go. And that year, Chris Rock was the host and he made fun of them. And he said something like, That's like not going to a party you weren't invited to, Jada. Like making some funny. So I guess there wasn't a lot of love between them to begin with. But it's completely wrong. And I'm disgusted by the whole thing. And I feel terrible for Chris Rock. But, you got to make lemonade out of lemons. And he's got a big tour coming up. I saw his sign at the Fantasy Springs. I talked to Chris Rock when I was at Craig's, when I stayed at his table too long, and he was still very nice. And he's a really nice guy, and he's a hilarious comic. And, if his shows weren't sold out before, they're probably sold out now because people are going to really want to hear from him about this. And I'm sure he's going to start out the show like that. If not, he's a juicy scooper. He's taking his notes right now. But, it's just really crazy. Now, there was an interesting tweet that I saw. Do I have the tweet in here? I don't think you put it. Okay. That there is a course according to the Skies tweet, that there is a course in Scientology that goes with like when someone is, disrespecting you or something that you're supposed to stand up or present. Like, there's something about it. I don't know if that's right. Will and Jada have definitely dabbled in Scientology. They started their own school that they said wasn't a Scientology school, but the materials were from L. Ron Hubbard. The school cost them $1 million. It never went anywhere. It's not around. It was called the Village School. She seemed to appear to be more in it than he. Other people are like, this doesn't have to do with Scientology. Okay. Just interesting things that people are bringing up. So then, okay, let's go into some fashions, and I might end up on Will Smith again. So some of the things in the fashions, which if you're watching this on YouTube, I've got the photos, but what's her name? Kristen Stewart wore like really short shorts and just bare legs, and it's like a cute outfit if you're just gonna go to dinner on like a summer night with some girls at a club. So she had just like a white blouse down to the navel, little satin jacket, satin shorts. So, I guess sometimes, you know what? Why not? Like, if she was just wearing a normal dress, we wouldn't be talking about it. So you either are going to hit the comedian because you didn't like their joke, or you're going to wear this, or wear something that gets talked about. The other thing is the joke, I did not know. People are like, it was a cruel joke about the G.I. Jane and Jada being bald, because she has alopecia and she's talked a lot about it, and she's very sad that, she was at the point where she was losing so much hair, she decided to shave her head. There is no way Chris Rock knew about that. And also, I don't think he should be expected to know about it. I didn't know about it. I just thought she was rocking a bald head. She's drop dead gorgeous. I've seen a lot of women lately of all different ethnicities rocking a bald head. And they're not sick. It wasn't for a medical reason. They're just like, oh, this is so freeing. I'm going to shave my head. So I think he might have been like, hey, way to rock that bald head. I hope you're doing G.I. Jane too, Also, he did a whole movie or documentary, Chris Rock, about Black women's hair and all the struggles and everything it means and throughout history. So that's kind of interesting, too, that he made that joke. But who's this girl? Billie Eilish. She's just wearing, just an enormous black ruffle dress. I love that she and her brother won. I love that as siblings they work together. I just think that's the cutest. Speaking of a lot of ruffles, Jada is here. And she wore, a high-necked green, dress, enormous dress on such a tiny person. I always think tiny people should not wear such huge things where they could just be swallowed up in. She's a great body and she's petite. This is not my favorite Jada look, but certainly the most memorable because no one will ever forget that this was the Oscars that she wore this dress. She looked really far away from Will in that.
They were sitting?
They were do you think that's because they were sitting in separate booths, which is really weird. And her dress, maybe because her dress was so big, she needed her own booth. And the other thing I just thought of is when he goes, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth. Well, it's interesting that he hits Chris Rock for a dumb joke, when you know you're going to get jokes that the Oscars made about you, especially if you're nominated. But when she was in her entanglement with a boy that was like 20 years younger than she, it was her stepson's friend. That guy was heartbroken. That's why he came out with it. He was like pussy whipped and she dumped him. And then he finally told the story. He didn't seem to be bothered by, what else might have been in that guy's mouth of his wife's. He didn't seem to care about that. But yeah, Amy Schumer made fun of their open marriage, I heard. They didn't really care. So here we are with Amy Schumer. She's in Navy. And then Regina Hall and Wanda Sykes both wore white. I wonder if they talked to each other. I don't think they did not. But don't you think you would? If I was doing a show where I'm going to be on stage with a couple other comedians, I'd be like, what are you wearing? What do you think you'll be wearing? What color? Well, Wanda's is like a cute pantsuit, and then Regina's is white, but like a big slit up the leg, but it's still a dress. So anyway, I heard they were funny, but no one's talking about it. Tracee Ellis Ross wore this. This is like becoming a really common new thing. There's under boob, there's show your fupa, and then there's this top that's like the cleavage goes down past your boobs and like barely covers your areola, and it's just like it looks like two eyes. It just looks like two eyes coming at you, and it's just not my favorite look. But then, this girl is the one who won Best Supporting for West Side Story. She wore the same type of top, but her outfit was pretty cool. It was like red pants, and then she had like a weird little like cape thing, but around her wrist that then made it look like a dress. But it was pants and like a crop top, and it was this little top. And they both have the same diamond necklace type of thing.
Ariana DeBois.
And then this is Venus, right? This Venus, she had a top that was like, wow, and in fact, her areola did come out as she was sitting down. She probably didn't think, just like the two girls hosting, Regina and Wanda, they didn't think to call each other. She didn't think to sit down in a chair and go, how can I rock this look? She probably goes, oh, looks great on the red carpet. Then you sit and it's like, hey, nipple weekend out, everybody. And her arm's crossing it in this photo, but I don't think she knew her nip was out. So good for her. Also arriving on the red carpet was Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker. And she just wore like a black strapless dress, and she wore her hair slicked back, and they did their tongue weird kissing thing on the red carpet. I don't know. I guess I'm sure she wasn't like in the first few rows. I just wonder, I guess I would invite the Kardashians. If I was doing Oscars, I would invite the Kardashians too, just like everybody else does, because they have millions and trillions and hundreds of billions followers, and it might get people to watch the Oscars. So I don't think it's really that weird that they were there. Obviously, neither of them are nominated for an Oscar, but you should invite some, social influencers. So, let me see. Was there anything else I wanted to? Oh, I was going to say about Kanye. Well, Kanye, they said he can't perform at the Grammys because of his, weird social media behavior. Yet, look what happened here. But if they had not decided already to ban Kanye from performing, today's meeting at the Grammys would be very weird, because they'd be like, oh my God, we're scared about Kanye. But now if we tell him now that he can't do it, it's going to look really unfair and a lot of other things I don't want to say, but it would look really bad if so it's good that they told him he couldn't do it before, but in his defense, it's like, come on, I never hit anyone on stage,
Taylor.
But he didn't hit Taylor, but he took her award, but he, so, he's probably like, come on, I'm not that bad. I think it's just very weird with Will Smith, because he really is such a beloved person, before we knew that they had an open marriage and an entanglement, he and Jada were like the Hollywood couple. They would dress similar on red carpets. They had the 2 little kids. They just had this. And then as the kids got older, it was like, oh my God, they're still married. They have this fabulous marriage. Now, there's always been rumors about Jada and Will that they were swingers, that they're bi, all of that. That was always there. And then it was confirmed a couple years ago with her entanglement. And then they came out and said, we have an open marriage. But we're going to stay together forever. We're never getting divorced, but we can screw other people. So now you know. And I have never been a fan of Jada's. I just think she's very, I'm trying to think of the word. I just think she just is like a know-it-all. And I think she thinks she's like a higher spirituality than everybody else. And her attitude is just not my favorite. I'm probably never going to be invited on the Red Table Talk, which is unfortunate because it's a lot of people are going to be catching it this week. I assume Will join the Red Table Talk and that'll be comfortable with his mother-in-law, but maybe she'll be like, you stood up for my baby's alopecia. You're okay in my book. Oh, Jaden Smith, he had tweeted something like, that's the way you do it, which could mean either his speech being so beautiful, or was it the slap? I don't know when the tweet was delivered. So that would probably be for the Twitter detectives to figure out. Anyway, wow, and wow. Well, a lot of people didn't see the show because they were at my show laughing their ass off. And now you can too. It will be available 6 p.m. Pacific time today. That's right. March 29th, Tuesday. You can watch the Juicy Scoop live. It was professionally filmed. And you go to momenthouse.com/juicyscoop, or you go to heathermcdonald.net. That's all you need to remember. You will find it. You can order it. You can watch it. And you will have 5 days to watch it once you purchase it. And after that, that's it. It's not going to be put out any other place. We got really edgy. We got did not hold back. It was obviously hilarious, but there was also some juicy stuff coming from some of the guests that they would not be comfortable doing on our regular show. So it was a special event, and it's about 2 hours. And
There's a nip slip.
Who's nip slip? Oh. There might be a nip slip. Yes, there might be a nip slip as well. And to everybody who came to all the shows at Brea this weekend, thank you so much. It was so fun. I will be back at Tempe to redeem myself on April 9th at the Tempe Improv. Again, heathermcdonald.net. All of our new merch is also at heathermcdonald.net, and there's some really fun, cool things there. And now for my fabulous, juicy, fun, and enlightening conversation with comedian Jessica Kirson. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. But you see me because you're watching this. But have you subscribed? Have you told a friend? Have you liked it? Have you copied the link and texted it to someone you love or you just feel like being a nice person to? Please do that. It keeps us going. So if you like watching Juicy Scoop here on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share. Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I have one of my favorite female comedians. We always have to say female before comedian. Jessie Kirson, welcome back to the show. We did a Zoom last time.
Yeah.
And you were so funny. And I love following you on Instagram. I love your hilarious stand-up, but I love that you post all your like hilarious crowd work moments.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go see a Jessie show, sit in the front and fucking get ready to possibly be part of the show and have me laugh at you on the Instagram later.
Yeah, I love doing crowd work because I don't know if you're like this, but I just get bored doing the same shit over and over again. And I love talking to people. And I think stand-up should be conversation. I mean, if you have that kind of act, because some people, it makes sense that they're not going to talk to the crowd.
I mean, I don't do it that much, but you are inspiring me to want to do it more because I'm like, but it also just really works with like your personality and your cadence. Because obviously you're from the East Coast. Where are you from?
I'm from, could you imagine? I'm from Tennessee.
You're like, I'm from Sherman Oaks, born and raised. No.
No, I'm from Jersey.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I grew up in South Orange, New Jersey. And yeah, I love talking to people because, you get so much material when you talk to people.
Yeah.
It's like I get a lot of my material from talking to people. Some people are some comics are writers. Like they sit and write. You might be like this.
Yeah,
which
I write like stories, and like stories happen in my life.
Yeah.
And then I cultivate them into being like really strong, kind of longer stand-up bits.
I wish I could sit down and write jokes, but I come up with most of my material on stage.
That's great.
So it's either I have an idea and I flesh it out by just talking about it, or sometimes I just talk to the crowd and I get my ideas from just my crowd work.
Right.
So I love that.
And what's your favorite club to do in New York?
The Comedy Cellar.
Yeah,
because,
that's what I think I see most of your videos from.
Yeah, because they're mostly comedy crowds. I mean, they're fans of comedy, and every show is sold out. And they watch so much comedy, and they don't get offended by anything. Most of the people that go there.
Speaking of the Comedy Cellar, I think of Louis C.K.
Yeah.
And what was your thought during all of that stuff when it went down, when the girls came forward and all these other people came forward of his inappropriate behavior with them and being like, just whipping it out and masturbating in front of women, not asking for it? What was that like? Because everyone knows him, everyone loves him, and you're part of that crew. What was that like?
Well, I have so many of my own problems that I really couldn't focus on that situation because I can barely get out of bed. Listen, I felt for those women, of course, and I feel for every woman. I've been through my own experiences, so it's a horrible situation, and it was horrible to hear that, and I was very sensitive to them and to all of it that was going on. It was a lot because people were coming, and like some people, not a lot, but there was some protests going on there, and the club did call me and say, "Do you feel okay? Do you feel safe here? Do you need anything?"
You mean if he was to go forward and and continue to perform there, some people are saying he shouldn't be able to perform there anymore, is what you're saying?
Well, I'm not sure if like a lot of comics said that, but the club did call and just say, how do you feel? Do you feel okay? Which I thought was great. Yeah. And then when he was going to come back and perform, they said, do you feel okay with him performing here? And I said, yeah, because I said, a lot of the comics are rapists and... I mean, these male, I'm like, God, I mean, almost every, I'm like, Jesus, if you were to take out,
Well, what was so weird and sad, and we're going to talk freely, we're comedians, offensive people. People like easily offended don't listen to Juicy Scoop, but there's probably going to one or two that I'm going to get a 1-star review from this episode. But listen, in the scheme of Me Too, there was Harvey Weinstein and, several tiers down, if you were going to do it that way, was Louis C.K.
Right.
But still all awful. But yes, I think some people felt that way too.
Right. But what they were saying is like, do you feel, I'm like, there's other male comedians. I mean, most men, like not most, but a lot of men are, on the edge somewhere of being very inappropriate and doing things that are not okay. So do I feel safe with, I mean, it's like saying, meaning like there's a lot of male comics that have done stuff that are not okay or that I felt uncomfortable with.
Were male comics like meeting around the corner being like, fuck, who's next? Like,
of course.
Oh God, we're waking up in cold sweats. Like, oh my God, back in 2007, I did this. They're probably, they were like,
I think they were freaking out. I mean, for so long, when I would take a picture with so many male comics, they were like this when we would take a picture, or like they wouldn't put their arm around me. You mean
like around the Me Too, like in the last couple of years?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm like, you can, first of all, I'm a lesbian, so you can put your arm around me. Are you okay with me putting my arm around you? Like, I'm fine. I don't feel like you're going to grab me. I mean, if you're going to grab me, it's okay.
Right.
You can put your arm around me.
Yeah.
But I've said this in a lot of interviews. I mean, I'm a lesbian. I'm older. I'm not a skinny, I'm going to be honest, let's be honest. I'm not a skinny 25-year-old hot girl. And they've been people in the men in the business, gay women, gay men have been incredibly inappropriate with me, have touched me inappropriately, have said things to me many, many, many times. So I can't imagine what they've done to women who are 25, 30, 20 and hot.
Right.
Because they've even done it to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's unreal.
I just remember so my first like real job was writing on Keenan Ivory Wayne's late night talk show for a couple months until I called in sick to audition for a pilot and another comic told on me and then I was fired. But for those couple months, it was a pretty great experience. And and afterwards, and I was like 27 or something, I went out for some other audition and it was like a woman, probably just maybe 35, pretty attractive woman. And she, you know, I think I put that like on my normal resume too, even though it was a writing job. And she's like, you wrote for Keenan Ivory Wayne's. And she goes, who'd you have to blow to get that job?
Unbelievable.
But she wasn't even joking. Like, I think she was actually like being inquisitive. Like, I'd like to know because I don't really like being this casting director. Like, I was like literally, and I kind of was like, ha ha. Like, I thought she was joking. But then after all this Me Too, I started to look back at things and be like, I don't even think I caught some of the inappropriate clues and things that were happening because I was always just like, oh, well, that joke didn't go over funny, you old weird man. I feel sorry for you, so I'm going to giggle and make you feel better rather than be like, hey, you sick fuck. You know, like, no. So
I completely understand and agree with what you're saying because I have talked to my friends so many times about that I didn't pick up on so many things that people have said and done to me. We've talked, all my friends and I have talked about that. Like someone would smack my ass and I would like weeks later or months later go, wait a second, was that appropriate? Like this is not, we don't pick up on things.
Right.
We don't because we're so used to it for so many years that it's normal to us, I think. We don't...
Well, I think it's like the whole thing of women being raised like polite and be nice and everything. So when men would act inappropriate or their jokes wouldn't land, even like in a corporate setting, because they were being gross, we were always like, oh, you know, I don't want to make that loser feel bad.
We are.
You know?
We still do it, by the way. I do it to this day. I don't want to say I don't do. That's not being honest. I still do. I still do it at times because it's a business thing.
Right.
And, you know, when you have to get things done sometimes, you have to kind of make them feel okay. I don't mean even in a sexual way, but in a way to just stroke their ego.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because they're so pathetic sometimes that you have to just make them feel better about themselves to get shit done.
Yes. And so you were telling me in the bathroom and I go, let's just save it for the show.
We went to the bathroom together.
We did. And I was like, save it for the show. But while we don't go to the show, tell me who you hate in the comedy world. But so we talked about that. Just kidding. And then, but do tell me like, you're a lesbian.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, not 100%.
Oh, you're not full blown.
Well, I speaking of blown, I do like giving blowjobs because I'm an eater.
You do? Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah. So, and I don't chew. So I like that, you know, like the feeling in the back of my throat. Like I do it with sandwiches. I don't, no, I've been with guys. I never, it's not like it's like a sexual thing with guys. It was more like I could never fall in love with a guy I've never been in love with a man. I never wanted to like spend time with them the next day. I'd be like, ugh, the thought of like spending the day with a guy that I'm not friends with. Like I love men. A lot of my best friends are guys.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't fall in love with a guy. But it's not like men gross me out or I'm disgusted by them. But I was always, you know, could fall in love with a woman. So
when was your first like girlfriend? Like was your first romantic situation with a man?
No. So I had boyfriends. I mean, they were short periods of time. And again, I couldn't wait for them to leave the house and go out with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
But I had, you know, crushes on women like, you know, Flashdance, what's her name? Jennifer.
Yes,
you know, that's
when she took off the bra.
I mean, I was obsessed with her.
Which, by the way, let's talk about Flashdance, the movie. Talk about an inappropriate situation. She was only 18, working as the steel girl or whatever, and then dancing. And the guy that owned the whole company could not have been younger than 38, 39.
That's true.
And that was her boyfriend.
Yeah. I know, that's very true.
And then I always felt like, did he pay actually to get her accepted into the ballet thing? Remember at the end, he was there with the dog and the roses?
I bet he did pay to get her. I mean, this is very inappropriate, by the way. Was she like 11? Oh, no.
She was 18.
I'm joking.
No, I remember she said she was 18. I remember she, like, didn't go to college, and she was being the steel girl because, like, that you could make a really good hourly wage.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, she went to the restaurant. She's eating the lobster with just a bib
Yes,
on.
she was so hot. I was obsessed with her.
Yes.
I think I watched it 846 times. I was
right.
And he was hot. The whole thing was like porn to me.
No, the other thing about that movie is whoever sang the song in that movie, my mom, who's a realtor, represented like that woman's agent, and that's where my mom said, the guy said, she doesn't like make a lot of money. The person who wrote the music makes a lot of money. And my mom's like, that's why you have to be a writer. The writers are the ones who make the money. And I knew that about music. And then I knew about that about like when I was working like early on TV shows, there were some guys that worked on sitcoms. And they're like, if you ever get on a family sitcom, write the Christmas episode, write the Halloween episode, because they'll always play those in residuals.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That is amazing because I was on Kevin Can Wait, the Halloween episode, and I always get residuals for it. And I did voices for Bubble Guppies, the Halloween thing, and I always get residuals.
Yeah.
I never realized that.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense
Totally.
now.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
my God.
So anyway, so you were hot for Flashdance Girl. Okay.
Hot for her.
Yeah. And okay, so go on.
Yeah. So then my coming out story is amazing.
Well, let's hear it.
Amazing. So I went to University of Maryland, very Jewish. I'm Jewish, and like my sister went there, my cousins, and I was in a sorority. It was just hilarious.
Which one?
Delta Phi Epsilon.
Okay.
And
was that kind of a Jewish one, like a traditionally
it was a Jewish
one?
sorority,
Okay.
but we weren't like the term is Jappy, like Jewish American Princess.
Right.
We weren't like, hi everyone, how are you? What's going on? I'm in my sorority. Like it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
We were like potheads and didn't show up to anything.
Oh, that's nice.
I was a
The word they always used
pothead.
was, you guys are so apathetic. We need to do more on the row for PR.
No, we were like, oh my God, where's the keg party? Like we were wasted all the time.
Yeah.
And it was good for me because the college was 40,000 people and I was like, didn't know how to meet people. And it was great to be part of this pledge class and be in a sorority. It really narrowed down. I lived in a sorority house with 40 girls. It was amazing. It was
so did
St.
I.
Elmo.
That's why I was at a big school too. I was at USC, and that's why I loved the sorority life at a big school. Because I'm like, I wouldn't have had people to go to the games with or do anything with, but it was built-in plans.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I lived in the house. It was where St. Elmo's Fire was filmed. So it was like it was awesome.
Oh, I love that movie too.
Right. So
that's another movie where those people acted like they were 40, and then you watch it now, you're like, they were 23,
right?
Like wearing suits and like having big houses. I'm like, what the hell? They just graduated last spring,
right? Okay. That's so true. They were like going through menopause. So so I was in this sorority, really into it, and would go to these formals and all this stuff, but with the guy, and I was like, not, everyone had boyfriends, and I would have boyfriend, but I never wanted to. I had no idea I was gay, and all I cared about was what people thought of me. I was very concerned about what people thought of me.
Now, at any time in this time, like, what were you studying? Did you secretly want to be a stand-up comic?
Never.
Did you ever watch stand-up comedy? Were you even like a fan of it?
I was a Saturday Night Live, Lucille Ball, Carol Burnett, always sketch, like, I liked stand-up, but was never a fan of stand-up. But I was the class clown.
But did you have aspirations to be on SNL or anything?
Yes, always.
Okay. But would you tell people or not because you were this on a college path? So
I was on a college path and I was going to be a therapist. My mother was a therapist. I had been in therapy since I was in the womb. And I was a class clown. I mean, since I'm in literally kindergarten, I was made everyone laugh constantly. I always made faces. I was silly. I'd crash into things on the street and fall down. I was out of my mind, like out of my mind.
Yes.
So anyone who finds out I'm a comedian is like, of course she's a comedian. It's not shocking to anyone.
Yeah.
So I was in. This is great. I was a senior, just starting my senior year, and a freshman girl came in, and her name was Melissa, and she came into Rush, which means for anyone came in to see the sorority with a group of girls, the freshmen, and see if she liked the sorority. We, got to meet them and see if we like them. It's like this auditioning process.
Yes, exactly.
And I saw her, and I thought she was adorable. And she noticed me. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea about anything.
Yeah.
And then she ended up picking the sorority, and we picked her. And she and I connected. On what level, I don't understand. And we just really liked each other. And over time, ended up spending a lot of time together. And it just grew into this.
Well, like, when did the makeout happen?
Well, basically, to make a very long story short, for 6 months, you're like,
I don't need to know frozen yogurt dates.
You're like, when did you scissor? She and I, for 6 months, could not stay apart. We would sit in the car and stare at each other for 3 hours like this.
But not make out?
Not even talk. It was insane.
Okay.
I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, do I need to go to a mental institution? I didn't think I was a lesbian. I didn't know what was going on.
Okay.
There was so much tension. I would get jealous when she was with guys, girls, like hanging out. I would get out of my mind when she would go to a dance with someone. It was so confusing. I didn't know what was happening. Basically, we went home for Christmas break. She came to my house in Jersey. She was from Jersey, too. She came to my house. We drank wine. We got a little high. We started wrestling.
That's how it happens. That happens a lot with gay men, too, wrestling.
Right.
I didn't know what happened with girls.
Yep. We started, like, playing. We both had outfits on and helmets. No, I'm joking. Can you imagine? We started wrestling, and then we made out, and we both freaked out.
How long into the makeout did you freak out?
We made out a lot.
Okay, so you let the makeout go.
Yeah, we didn't do anything else. We didn't go to second.
Okay.
I'm like, so, can you imagine I just said second?
Yeah.
Second used to be like touching breasts.
That's what it is.
Now it's anal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we started, you have teenagers. Now it's anal. So we started, just like, wrestling and making out, and we panicked. We were both like, whoa, what just happened? Like, I am not gay. I was really freaked out. I mean, that was a long time ago. Now it's not. But
now it's like if you're not gay, there's something wrong.
Right.
with
now
you.
if you're not bi, you're like
well,
what?
Why are you
You're
so
homophobic.
Yeah.
So we freaked out, and we got very uncomfortable and didn't kind of talk for a week. I don't remember exactly how long, but we kind of just didn't talk about it. And then we drove back to Maryland together to go back to school. We stayed in my apartment together so I could get settled in. I took all my stuff back, and that was it. We just started having sex.
And did you know how to have female gay sex?
I had watched a lot of porn.
Oh, good
in
for
my teenage years.
With a big VHS tape? Or
yes, of course. They were like boombox. So I didn't really know what I was doing, but I mean, I think I knew more than she did.
Okay.
And so, we were having sex a lot. But again, to make a very long story short, it was a nightmare because it was a secret for 3 years because she didn't graduate for 3 years. And it almost killed me. I mean, we kept it from everyone, and we were madly in love.
Yeah.
And I still didn't think I was a lesbian. I just thought I was in love with her. And so we were hiding it. Really, no one knew, maybe a couple of people, but really we kept it. We were good at it. I mean, it was a job. And we would meet in hotels halfway. I missed her desperately.
Because now you had graduated.
Right. So I moved back home, and I would date guys just to convince myself, not even date, but just sleep with some guys just to convince myself I wasn't gay. And it was horrible because I would drink a lot and do get high or do some it was a horrible thing for me. And my family didn't know, and I was hiding it from everyone and lying, and it really almost killed me. It was horrible. Yeah. And it would kill me when she would go to these dances with guys so that people wouldn't think she was gay, and it was killing us. And And then I ended up coming out to my family, and I told my mother, who's a therapist, and I was hysterically crying. She's like, "Do you think I didn't know? Like, when she'd leave the house, she would be sobbing. Like, who sobs when a friend leaves the house?" I'd be like, "Melissa!" Like,
one of my favorite Fortune Feimster jokes, speaking of Fortune, and it was like, it was an old joke, so I don't know if she still does, but it's my favorite, where she'd go she had a coming out story where like she didn't know she was gay until she like saw this like after school special or Lifetime movie about a girl being gay, and then she was like, oh. But prior to that, like she had this best friend that would go on like dates and stuff, but the best friend didn't know that she was in love with her. And she'd be like, and then my mom would be like, why do you get so sad when, Casey goes out and Fortune, like, Fortune's wife. Yeah. You're like, because she's my best friend. Like,
she's my best friend.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, so your mom clued in then.
Yeah, and when I told my sister, she literally thought I was dying of cancer. I'm not kidding. Like,
when you started to tell it.
Yeah, I was sobbing, and I thought they would.
That was a way people suggested to tell your family that you were gay back, like 20 years ago, is to say, I have cancer, this, and then have them cry and go, no, I don't have cancer, I'm just gay.
Right.
And then, thank God.
That's amazing.
And then, nice way to soften the blow. But so she thought you were saying.
You are amazingly funny.
So, yeah.
I love you. Yeah. She was like, really like so grateful that I wasn't dying.
Right.
And my family is so accepting. I come from this liberal Jewish family, thank God. I'm very lucky. My heart goes out so much to people, the millions of kids and teenagers and young adults and adults who have to tell their families, and they just, oh God, cut them off. I mean, I literally just felt like I was going to cry. It's so upset. I just constantly think about that because I'm very blessed that my family didn't judge me for a second, or they love me no matter what. I mean, I don't think it's like what my family would have chosen for me, and the only reason why is because, and both my parents said this, because of the way what I had to go through, because at the time it was not accepted, meaning my mom and my dad said, the hardest thing for us is that you can't walk down the street holding hands with the person you love, and I mean, you can, but you're going to get ridiculed and looks, and it's going to be harder for you in your life. Like at that point, they didn't ever think I'd have kids, ever. Like the thought of me having kids was, my mom always says that. I never thought you would have a child, ever.
Right.
So it was very hard for them to think of me having a life.
So what happened with you and Melissa?
Melissa and I stayed together for about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And she was the love of my life at the time. She's an amazing person. And we both moved to Northampton, Massachusetts, which is called Dyke. It is not all lesbians, but there's a lot of lesbians there.
What's it called?
It's called Dykesville. It's
called Dykesville.
Well, I mean, meaning there's so many lesbians there.
Yeah.
And I moved there to come out because it was very comfortable for me. But I was really I was like smoking pot a ton and I was going through a very hard time.
And at this time, you're still not exploring stand-up or anything?
No, I'm not.
When did you come out as a comedian? That must have been more disappointing for your family.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, I moved back home and I went to school at NYU to be a social worker for an MSW. And this is the thing. I come from, my parents were both in like community theater. They both loved acting. And my parents were divorced, and my mom started dating, I told you this before, but Zach Braff's father from Scrubs.
Oh, okay.
And Zach was a child actor. So they were kind of, around that. And Zach was auditioning every day. So my mom was driving him to auditions, and his two brothers who were older were into writing. So they were both, in the bit, like,
oh, wow,
experimenting. Yeah. So they were kind of around it. And
so your career is based on nepotism, but through marriage.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's true. So I was going to school to be a social worker, and I was at my family country club. And my grandmother, I was sitting with my sister and my cousins. This is incredible, too. And my grandmother, my beautiful Jewish grandmother, B. Farbman, was sitting in the grill room at the country club. And she's looking at me with that face. This is my old Jewish face. Even when they say something positive. It's gorgeous outside. Look at this weather. And she's like, isn't that true? I never felt better.
Yeah.
I feel great. So she goes, Jessie, come here. And I said, what, Nanny? What? And I came over to her and she goes, you need to be a comedian. Every time you're with people, they're laughing. That's what she said to me. And I said, Nanny, I could never, ever stand on stage in front of people because I had a fear of performing. I said, there's no way I could. She goes, I'm telling you, I'm your grandmother. You need to make people laugh. That's what you're supposed to do. You trust me, I'm your grandmother. That's what you do. And I couldn't, I'm telling you, I've never stood in front of people and talked. I can't. And she said, you promise me you do that. Like she made me do it.
Did she ever get to see you do it?
A bunch of times.
Oh, good.
On The Tonight Show, The View.
Oh, awesome.
So I was lost. I didn't really want to be a therapist. I was in graduate school, but I looked in the Village Voice in New York, and on the back of the thing was a class. American
I took
comedy.
a class too.
I would have done it if I didn't take a class.
Me too.
See, I love that you people like us.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, I went to an open mic and I just got on stage. I'm like, how did you do that?
Well, also, I think because you and I like had a similar thing in like college sorority, like studying your thing. And also knowing that I should do it, but also at the end of the class, 6 weeks, you got a little show.
Yes.
And I'm like, if I have a deadline, my family wants to come, I know I'll deliver.
That's exactly what I did. Exact same thing. My whole family came. Mm-hmm. And I took that 6-week class.
Yes.
But, so my mom's a therapist, like a big therapist.
Right.
She had to take me to someone who deals with fears. I literally had to stand across from this guy and like do work with him. I was petrified.
Oh, wow.
Petrified.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I tell people, you can do whatever you want. Like, if I could do this, I was not okay. Like, I was throwing up.
I tell people to do a class too. The only people I tell don't be a stand-up is because there's people that I'm like, if you've never made someone chuckle at a cocktail party, laugh at a slumber party, don't do it. But if you have, but you don't know how to get on stage or you don't know how to put together a personal story that your best friend would laugh at, and you're like, I know my best friend would laugh at it, but how would the audience? I'm like, take a class.
You know what I tell people? If you're
it.
really happy, like if you're really happy,
don't
you can't just. I'm not kidding.
I mean, listen, there is something wrong with you if you pursue stand-up comedy.
You're not, I'm sorry, we're not okay. I don't know about you.
I
am not okay. It's okay. I've accepted it and I'm okay with it.
I mean, sometimes my kids or my husband will be like, you're so weird. I'm like, yeah?
Yeah.
Like,
you can't.
Are you just figuring that out now?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's okay. We have to embrace it, but you cannot do this if you're okay. Like, there's. I mean, there's something off. There has to be something off.
Yes.
It doesn't mean we're like miserable and we're like ready to jump off of a building, but we're not okay in some way or another.
And then when you keep going,
right after
you have
every
horrific experiences,
you have to be able to be okay with being distraught and being punched, and you have to be able to get back up after going through horrible
and having
experiences.
A lot of self-doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was your first experience a pleasant one then?
It was good. I mean, I did, I mean, of course, I had 30 people there, to come see me. And it was at Caroline's on Broadway.
Oh, good.
And, so it was, I didn't do great, but at least I had the support of all the people there. Right. And that's the only reason why I did it. And then part of me was like, then I did the open mics and it was so uncomfortable and so weird, and it wasn't cushy, as you know, doing open mics and bar shows, but a part of that was familiar to me. Yeah. And I was okay with it.
Well, what happened with me is similar. Is like, since I grew up here and I had all this, I had family and I had friends and sorority people that were like, yeah, we'll come see you.
Right.
So whenever I had like a bigger, more important night, like, at the Improv, and I don't I think I'd just become a regular at the Improv, but even like shows that, someone would produce, but it would be like a decent place that I wasn't embarrassed to invite people to.
Yeah.
So I'd have, and my parents would come and they'd like bring their friends. My parents would bring their marriage therapist. The marriage therapist wanted to be a comedian.
You can't make this shit up.
I swear to God.
That is
amazing. They would like buy the guy a nice dinner and everything. Like they liked going to this one place, Luna Park, because it like had nice food. That was in West Hollywood. Anyway, but then I remember some male comedians started talking shit about me, saying like, of course she does well. She packs the room. She brings everybody.
Of course, you're always going to get that.
Fuck you. I have the best. My crowd still laughs for you, and you're not even funny because they're like nice and they like felt bad. So they would like laugh for like the losers too. And I'm like, you should be so happy that I'm on your show. I'm bringing like great people.
Yeah, you can't win.
Yeah.
You especially can't win as a female comic.
Yeah.
If you're funny, you're always going to get judged. All comics will get judged by other comics, but if you're a female comic and you're funny, forget it.
Right. Yeah.
You're definitely going to get judged.
So then tell me how you ended up with all your children and your ex baby mamas and all that.
It's hilarious. Your ex baby mamas. I met my first partner when this is great too. I was flyering on the street, which means for people that don't know, I was on the street in New York City for doing a show for the Duplex, which is like a gay cabaret club and bar. It's great. It's on Christopher Street in New York. And I was handing out flyers. You do that to get stage time.
You do that in Las Vegas too.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
For sex trade and stuff.
Yeah, I did it for that too.
So that's how you get enough people to come so that you could perform. And could they go for free or they still had to pay to see the show?
I think they had to pay $5.
Oh, okay.
And so my ex walked up with her friend, and I was with like Erin Foley and all these people that you probably know. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And we were all just doing it to get a spot, to like get a 5-minute spot. That's what you had to do.
Yeah.
It was a Friday night. And I was 6 months into comedy or something. This was 23 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And she walked up and she came to the show. And she thought I was a flyer for a living. She didn't even know I was a comic. She thought I stood outside and gave out flyers. And then she saw me perform, and that was it. She wanted me right away. No.
Yeah.
She came to the show, and the typical lesbian thing, like she saw me perform that night, and then we hung out, and she's like, I'm spending the rest of my life with you. It was typical lesbian.
Now, why do they say that about a lesbian? Is that like the second date, they bring the U-Haul?
Because it's an emotional thing.
Yeah.
I mean, women, it's just like, it gets emotional immediately, and you just connect. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's as common like that as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are more, I think people are more centered now, and kind of, it's not, it seems like the younger generations, they don't move in right away anymore.
Yeah.
It's not as common as it used to be.
They said that, so few people are like cohabitating.
Right.
Like that the thing to do is if you're going to build a new building is to make more just like studio single units.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even if people sometimes get together, they want to keep their separate space.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I know. I'm like,
a lot.
I have some friends who are divorced and stuff, and I'm like, if you don't need to get married to have kids, and it's not like the guy's richer than you, like you have a nice home too. I'm like, why would you ever want to move in? Don't you like having your own bed and your own thing, and then like go have your fun weekends, have them spend the night, and then goodbye, and then I'll see you like Thursday.
I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah. If you're not looking to procreate and have babies together, or your kids are older, especially if your kids are older and you don't need him financially, why would you ever combine like teenage kids? Like let them get older. And then if you want to live together when you're like 60, okay, they're not going to care to come, they're going to be fine when they come visit.
Or you could do something where you do have, if you need to do it for like, if like for ways that you can see each other in the hospital, whatever it is.
Yes,
I don't know all the details, but like you can do that and keep your money separate and keep your own homes and whatever. Do what do you need to do to protect yourself legally? But
make them your life partner, but not that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but still, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So Shari and I ended up getting together, and then we marriage wasn't legal then. Gay marriage wasn't legal, so we had this huge Jewish wedding.
Where'd you do it at?
In New York City.
Okay,
but it wasn't legal. But we just felt like we wanted to
so it's
celebrate.
just called like a commitment or a union,
right? Exactly. Yeah. And
what did you wear?
Oh my God, this is so funny. So like I felt like I didn't want to. I had a very hard time saying no.
What year was this?
So this must have been Zoe is going to be 16. So this was like 17 years ago.
Okay.
And I wore a skirt. Oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. I wore a skirt and a like a blazer, but I didn't want to.
In white?
I couldn't say no at the time.
Well, who's making you wear this outfit?
My ex.
Oh,
she didn't make me, but
what did she wear?
She wanted me to wear a wedding dress.
Okay.
I'm always the more like male kind of in the relationship. But I should have worn a pantsuit. But I just kind of was like, didn't have. I didn't speak up a lot when at that point in my life, and I wore black.
Oh, you wore a black?
Yeah, we both did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was kind of like we made up our own thing.
Yeah, sure, why not?
And it was uncomfortable for me. Like I should have definitely worn a pantsuit. I felt like I was in drag. I was in a tough time in my life.
You're in drag, but you're in drag like.
It was bad.
Oh, you were like drag like dressed like a woman, but you really wanted to be like in a nice,
sure,
cute,
yeah,
fitted
yeah.
pantsuit.
I'm very male in a lot of ways.
Okay.
So that was not the right outfit for me. I have not worn. This is a true statement. I have not worn a skirt or a dress since that day. Not one time.
Good for you.
Not even as a joke and nothing.
Okay.
That was the last time, 17 years ago, that I ever wore a skirt or a dress or anything other than pants or shorts. That was the last day.
Is there anything like that in your closet?
No.
Well, I'm glad you
that was
cleaned
the
out.
last day. No, I did a bonfire.
Oh, good.
No, I'm joking. But that was the last day, that day. So
so you get married.
So it was a beautiful wedding.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. And then we did in vitro.
Okay.
And
now, how did you pick the male sperm?
We used a donor.
But how did you choose
my characteristics, my features? You're able to see someone.
Okay.
Amazing pictures until they're 8 or 9. He was stunning. Voice recordings, everything was very high quality.
Well, were you like deciding between like 3 people, or was right away?
There was about 3. There was about 3, and it was
and so
Jewish.
Do you also
my
choose
features.
like what they did for a living?
Everything.
So,
you know a lot. I mean, the more you pay, the more you know.
So was this guy a stand-up comic too?
No. But it's incredible what you can know if you pay.
Okay.
And it was amazing what we were able to get. And it very similar to who I am and what I look like and everything.
And so then it was her egg and she carried.
Yes.
Okay.
And it worked the first time.
And that's your
Amazing.
daughter.
And that's my almost 16-year-old Zoe.
Okay.
And she is an actress, and she is amazing. And she has an agent, and she goes to high school for the performing arts half the day. She's unreal, and she is all over my Instagram, and she's on my TikTok, and like people follow her. She's unbelievable. She's an incredible kid,
So what happened there?
I'm in love with her. I'm in love with that child.
Is that the only child you guys had together?
Yes. So that's our only child
why
together.
Did you break up?
So we ended up, we got together young. We were both, we're very good friends. We get along great. We co-parent. She lives with Shari. Shari obviously does everything because she lives with her and has always done everything.
Does.
No, and my ex, Shari does everything.
Okay.
Because I'm always on the road and she lives with her. And, and I'm very grateful to her. She is a great mother, and Zoe's a great kid. So
how old was your daughter Zoe when you guys stopped living together?
We stopped living together for good when she was like 5.
Oh, okay.
So it just didn't work out. We went our separate ways, and it's it's great now. We all get along, and it's all good. And again, Zoe's amazing. So then we broke up, and then I ended up meeting Danielle, who's my current wife, and Danielle is hilarious. Danielle's a therapist. My mother's a therapist. I mean, this is all like, so I had a sitcom deal for all of this with NBC Peacock, and it didn't end up going through. But my whole sitcom idea is that I have 2 baby mamas.
Oh wait, so this is recent then that you got this deal because it's Peacock. It's been around a long time.
It was a deal that I had right before COVID.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, which I'm gonna, rework and go out again because it is an amazing story. So I met Danielle, and Danielle and I worked on having, it's not the same donor, did it again. She wanted kids, and I was like, of course I would have more kids. And we tried and went through some bumps, and then we got pregnant with Isabella, who's now 6.5. And we went through a lot with Isabella because, unfortunately, we found out 6 months into the pregnancy that Isabella has severe heart disease. Which I don't even think you know. Yeah, she has major heart disease. It's hard because a lot of times when I talk about this, people will go, "Oh yeah, my friend has a daughter with a hole in her heart." This is much more severe. So at 6 days old, she had to have open heart surgery.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know. She's had 3. And she's had a stent through her groin. I know. Oh. And she hasn't even had the major, she has to have her valve replaced, your main heart valve.
Wow.
And she has 2 major problems. And so she has to have a bunch more surgeries, unfortunately. But she's stable. And she is okay, but we have to take her every 6 months to get these major tests.
Can she go to regular school and stuff?
Yeah, she goes to regular school. Thank God, she's healthy. She has to take medication twice a day for the rest of her life. But by looking at her, you would never know something's wrong. I mean, she has tons of scars, but she's like a beautiful, normal-looking 6-year-old child. But that has completely changed my life because it's made me relook everything. It's like once you go through something like that, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this and watching this have a child with health issues or know someone or have a family member. It's like you just get so grateful for everything. And it's like, even as a comic, and I know you're going to get this, when I look out at people who are so miserable in the audience. I mean, you're going to laugh at this, and I know people that are listening. I've literally said to people who are look like they're like miserable or shaking their head.
Looking back at you,
when I've been so enraged or I'm burnt out, I'm like, why don't you go to a children's hospital and sit in the lobby and look around and look this ungrateful? It's like I get enraged with people. It's like, why are you here? Why are you? I mean, I knew you were going to laugh as a comic because comics always laugh when I say that. Like, this might sound very dark to people, but I mean it in a funny way. Like, you are miserable looking. Like, go look around and look this miserable, you ungrateful piece of shit. Like, is things could be a lot worse than sitting in a comedy show. You are miserable. Like, why? Go bowling. Why are you here? Like. It's so...
I'm a pretty happy person. I think it's because I was the youngest of 5, and early on, my dad would go, "What's wrong with you, sourpuss?"
I was called sourpuss too.
So I couldn't be bummed.
Me too.
Like I had to be happy all the time.
Yeah,
and I do look always like, what's the bright side of this? Where's the positive? I got to find the positive. When will it reveal itself that this was all meant to be the way it's supposed to be? Like, I definitely am like that. But, sometimes I'm like, sometimes I want to be pissed. And now I always say, now I'm just famous enough that I cannot be the bitch I sometimes deserve to be out in public. Because there are times that you deserve to be a bitch. And there's times that you're having a horrible experience in a customer service situation. But it's like, oh my God, if someone then gets back to Heather McDonald was a fucking bitch and there's a TikTok about it, I'm going to die.
You can't do it.
No.
You're right. You're too, you are there where you can't do that.
And so I think also that's forced me to never...
you
be
are at that point.
I
can still freak out. I did a JetBlue the other day, but you have to be careful.
What happened on JetBlue?
I almost didn't make my flight because they couldn't get in touch with the people at the gate. I'm like, they're 200 feet away. What are you talking about? You can't reach them? Like I was checking in and they were like, we can't reach the people at the gate. For like 20 minutes I was standing there.
Wait, so you're about to walk down the path?
Yeah, and they couldn't reach the people at the gate to ask them if they were boarding or not. I'm like, do you want to just have someone walk over there and just find out what's going on? I was so angry. But the point is also, I want to say about this thing with my daughter.
Yes.
That I'm also grateful that she's okay and alive. And that I have going to the best doctor in the world for this at Columbia in New York City. And that I've seen children die. Like, I am grateful. I look at the bright side.
Yes.
Like, I've seen the worst things that could happen to children, and my kid's okay. And she'll be okay. And things could always be worse.
Right.
And anyway, she's okay. And then I have twin 3-year-olds. So we've had 3. We didn't plan on having twins. We got pregnant again so she could have a younger sibling. And then their doctor was like, you're having 2. And we were like,
wait, did you put 2 embryos in or they broke or split?
We put 2 in and then we did not plan. I mean, she was a little bit older. And
so you thought only one would take?
Yeah. So now I have 4 daughters from
all
2
girls.
baby mamas. I have 4 little girls.
So you knew you were putting girls in?
We didn't.
Oh, you didn't know?
I just ended up having 4 girls.
No, you didn't know when you.
I love having 4 girls.
When you chose the embryos, you didn't know the sex of the embryos.
No idea. No idea.
Oh, that's cool.
No idea.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I have 4 daughters. I mean,
That's
I
awesome.
love having 4 daughters. But yeah,
it's
great. Amazing. I feel like I have this like women's march. It's hysterical. I mean, they're so cute. They're on my Instagram and my TikTok. I put videos of them. I mean, and I'm older, you know. And it's a hilarious thing. I have these. It's like,
so you live in the city?
I live on Long Island. You know, I wanted them to have a house and be in the suburbs. That's how I grew up. I want a yard. I want them to. Yeah, I just wanted that for them because I'm on the road all the time.
And how long does it take for you to get from your house to the Comedy Cellar in New York?
Not long. I mean, 40 minutes?
Okay,
you know, it's not bad.
And do you drive or?
I do. I'm always driving. I can't take the train and the bus. I will end up killing someone on public transportation. I can't.
Every time I've gone to New York, and I've never stayed there for a long period of time. So like maybe 4 days is the most, you know. And I think I've been on the subway once. I don't trust myself like that. I would completely get lost or something like that. I know. And then people are like, no, you should just. They're like, no, don't get in a cab to go to this place. Go right here. I'm like, no. Now I don't care if it takes an hour and a half.
It's dangerous now.
Now
it's bad. Yeah. It's really bad. My friend was punched in the ribs yesterday on his bike. I know that sounds crazy.
What do you mean? He's pedaling and someone still managed to punch him?
Someone was in the car. Can you believe this? And felt like he on his bike cut them off and got out of his car and punched him in the ribs. I'm not kidding.
Oh my God.
It's bad there right now.
Wow.
Watch now. All these people, hundreds of thousands of people are listening, aren't going to go to New York. I mean it's a little crazy there.
No, I have heard that.
It's scary.
And things need to change in all these cities to make it safer.
It's crazy.
It's gotten to the point where it's like, no more. We need to.
I know
down.
It's not good.
Yeah. So
I thought I'd bring up something positive just so that people. I'm talking about my daughters, and I'm like, you're going to get assaulted if you come to New York. Anyway, so back to my kids.
Tell me some of your greatest. So what was your big break? Like, when did you go, I can do this for a living and be successful? Has it happened yet? No, just kidding.
Oh my God, you're so funny. This podcast, being here today has made me know I can do this. I don't know what the big thing was. I honestly think when I started doing the road and making some money, even if it were $500, just knowing that I could make money and survive made me know that I can do this. But there's been some experiences that have really just been highlights for me. Even when I was at the Comedy Cellar on a Tuesday night at midnight and I'm on stage for 20 people making $25 and I'm getting heckled from the back of the room. You're amazing. You're a star. And I look out and it's Robin Williams, who is my idol. Because he was a quick fire. You know, that's how I am on stage. I'm so crazy on stage. And I look out and it's him.
That's awesome.
And I got off stage and he was hugging me saying, you're going to be a star. You're amazing. Don't ever stop doing what you're doing. And I was like doubting myself at the time and going through a hard time and things like that, those, or I couldn't get a comedy special, which was to me insane.
Yeah.
Everyone else was getting specials and I had been doing it 21 years. And then Bill Burr called me out of nowhere and said, I want to produce a special for you. This was 3 years ago. I mean, it's crazy.
That's
it's
awesome.
Like, I'm like,
where can people watch that special?
It was on once on Comedy Central, but it's on the app where they can watch it on Amazon.
Oh, okay, cool.
But he just put me on something for Netflix in May. I mean,
Awesome.
Netflix hasn't given me anything, and he just called and said, I put you on my a special I'm doing in May. It's like comics have always helped me.
Yeah.
Thank God.
That's
I'm
great.
sure you get it too. Comics have always thought of me and helped me. So I'm filming my own crowd work special now.
Oh,
and
good.
I'm going to put it out if it doesn't get picked up. So
Where are you doing that?
I'm doing that at the Comedy Cellar. So
Yeah,
I just
you
keep
should.
filming
Yeah.
15-minute sets where I only do crowd work, and I'm putting a special together.
Oh, that's great.
It's
So it'll
great.
be of different nights, though.
all different
the
nights,
best.
like 10
I love
sets.
it.
Yeah, where I only do crowd work, and the ones I filmed are just hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them I sing with a band. I'm singing gospel. It's crazy.
And so now what's some of your worst experiences that you thought I might have to quit doing this?
There's a lot. I mean, I know you'd have them too, but I've
Yeah.
had bottles thrown at me. I mean,
Why
literally.
would someone throw a bottle at you?
A French tourist. I was at the Improv in New York years and years ago, and he just did not like my stand-up. Nothing. There was no warning. He literally just did not like what I was saying. It wasn't even offensive. This was years ago. And he just was like, said something in French and grabbed bottles off of his. Can you believe that? I'm a woman. Like,
Did you duck? Did it come
yes,
close to
I
you?
was ducking, and
Oh my
then
God.
I had it and took one and threw it back at him, and he ducked, and I hit a Swedish woman. It was all tourists there. It was in Midtown, and I hit her, and she started yelling at me. It was so crazy.
Oh my God.
Then they had to escort me out to my car.
Oh my God. I think I would have
insane.
peed in my pants out of fear.
I was petrified to walk out of the club.
Yeah.
I had an experience like 3 weeks ago in Minnesota where I was performing and this guy didn't laugh at one thing I said. He didn't laugh at any comics. And I was like doing some Jewish material and I looked at him and I'm like, what are you, a Nazi? And he goes, yep. This is a true story. I put a clip
This
on
just
TikTok.
happened.
I put a clip on TikTok and it went viral and they took it down. I knew they were going to take it down because he was literally admitted he was a Nazi. I still have the clip. I'll send it to you.
Like a Nazi in America.
He's a Nazi.
Like a neo-Nazi.
He literally said, I am a Nazi.
Oh my God.
He said, yep, I'm a Nazi. And I said, I'm actually impressed. I wasn't joking that you're admitting it because most people don't admit it. He was a white guy, just a typical 20-something-year-old white guy. And I said,
20, wow.
I said, I'm impressed you're admitting it. Like, I'm not saying that as a joke because most people would be like, no, I'm not.
Right.
And I said, well, I said, okay, well, I'm Jewish and, I'm saying that, so you must be like whatever. And he's just keeping a straight face. And I wanted to kill him, but I was also petrified, obviously, because he was sitting on the left side and I had to walk down the stairs. And I kept having this visual of him jumping up from his seat and attacking me, even though I wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
I really wanted to kill him. And so I kept, saying stuff to him. I'm like, I wonder why you guys hate us so much. I don't know what we ever did besides succeed. I say that on stage sometimes. I'm like, that must be why. It must bother you a lot that we've just never backed down and never, we just succeeded. We kept succeeding and doing well. That must be really enraging that even after all the people that you've killed and all the people you wanted, we've just kept plugging away and succeeding and doing well. And then I said, and then I was a joke didn't work or something. I'm like, oh, that joke didn't work. I'm like, will you kill me? I'm like, I'm serious. Will you kill me? And he goes, no, I'm not going to kill you. And I go, what a pussy. It was amazing. I'm like, you're saying you're a Nazi and you won't kill me? I'm like, you're such a pussy. And people were dying laughing and they started clapping. I'm like, you're really a pussy. I'm like, you're a Nazi and you won't kill me?
Was he like with a girl or anything?
He
Like,
was
who
with guys and his friends were furious with him. Now, people listening might think this is insane what I'm saying, but I've been doing comedy for 23 years and I'm burnt out. I do 15 to 20 shows a week.
Right.
I do a lot of stand-up.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe sometimes 10, but I'm burnt out.
Yes.
I'm on the road. I'm in Minnesota at the Mall of America.
Oh.
This is like my 5th show of the weekend.
I did that.
Yeah. It's a lot. And this guy's saying he's a Nazi, and I'd had it at this point.
You know, there is no sales tax, though, if you want to shop after to make yourself feel better.
I knew there wasn't sales. You're so funny.
Okay, go on.
And
yes.
I'd had it.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of being Jewish.
Yes.
And I was furious
Yeah.
and enraged. And I don't take it lightly when someone says they're, and I don't care. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to attack me. And there was also a huge table of black people that were ready to, I'm not kidding. They're like, we got your back. We are going to, they were screaming out.
Was security at the club nervous? Because at this point, I'd be nervous if I was like the manager of the club.
The way I handled it, it's hard to explain because of everything I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the way I handled it, it was very funny. It doesn't sound funny the way I'm describing it. People were hysterically laughing. His friends were laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
He looked furious, but his friends were dying laughing. The crowd was laughing. I'm making it sound very serious, but it came off very funny. Like I was making it funny. And this whole table was ready to pounce him. Like they were like, we got your back. We'll walk you out. We're going to, like he was petrified. Mm-hmm. He was petrified. But I did have a visual of him jumping me. So I was a little like...
Yeah.
Just walking off stage, not after the show.
Wow.
But I was like, I wanted to kill him.
You know, when you say what succeeding, that is how I remember being very young and my mom explaining like World War II and Nazi Germany. And she said, well, they wouldn't let the Jews own property. So they had to use their brains. So they know the best education. So, you want to buy in a neighborhood where there's a lot of Jews because that public school will be,
that's interesting.
I just remember that
that's
always being like that. Yeah, the way she would we're Catholic, but that's the way she described it too. Like,
that's an interesting thing to say because yes, education is very important. It is.
They couldn't be farmers, and that's what she told me. I mean, now
no,
someone's going to correct
that
like,
makes
that. So they had to be the jewelers, the chemists, that all those things.
That's very true. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think a lot of it is just envy.
Yeah,
and
it's weird.
It's not
I never
even
understood. I never could get it. And even when I found a little bit of prejudice about Jewish people, I remember it just shocked me.
It's bad.
And I remember only time I ever heard it was I was in college and this girl I knew said, how did you guys handle living in the valley? And I go, it's 10 degrees hotter than this. This is when people were very snobby about the valley. So I was at ESC, so there were a lot of Newport people and whatever. And I go, I know it's 10 degrees hotter, but we had a pool and air conditioning. I literally thought that's what she was bringing up.
Right.
And she goes, no, all the Jews that live there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're joking, right? It had never crossed my mind. I never thought about it. And I'm like, she said a little bit more like, yeah, we had to move, and I was like, I was horrified. And I told people what she said because I was like, she is a racist. I'm like, she is awful. Like, I was like, that is the weirdest thing. I'm like, yeah, we had Jewish neighbors. We had Persian neighbors. We had black neighbors. We had Chinese neighbors. Like, I was like, what do you, I didn't realize, like, when you grow up in a city with diversity and stuff, that in other places, even if they're homogeneous, they can be lovely and open-minded. But in some places, it can breed because they don't see anything other than exactly themselves. So then when they see it, they're like, it's really sad.
Well, it's interesting what you're saying because I experienced that a lot in New York and LA and Chicago. Like people go, people aren't anti-Semitic. People don't like Jews. I'm like, no, you're not understanding. Like, because you're here.
Yeah.
You think that, and I get it. It's okay. But like, I travel all over the country.
Right.
Like, people don't like Jews. It's okay. But like, you're here.
Yeah.
So you don't, yes, in a lot of places.
Yes.
And I'm not even religious. I mean, I went to Hebrew school, I was bat mitzvah, but I'm very not religious. Like, I'm not Orthodox, I'm not conservative. There's levels, and I'm at the lower, much lower, but I'm very proud to be Jewish, and it's important to me, the cultures, the traditions, and I'm proud of it, and I will fight for it. And it is extreme, the anti-Semitism. It's bad right now, like bad.
I know. It's just horrific and baffling.
Yeah.
Just baffling, really. I just am like, this is so bizarre to me, you know? But that's crazy. That's very scary. I mean, I have not had, only one time was I performing at Atlantis in the Bahamas.
Oh, yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
And I got to perform that, and I loved it because I have these kids, and they were younger back then. So I was like, we were all about the water slides, and I put it out there. And I was performing, and some guy screamed out, "I want to shoot you in the head." And I was like, what? You know?
Yeah,
and I was like, and I did it right
incredible.
away. And this was like probably 7 years ago or something. And I was like,
that was 7 years ago?
yeah. And I was like, can like, can security, like was immediately like, security.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And I don't think he had a gun. I think he was just like drunk or something. I mean, it is a casino situation. So you get, anytime you're performing,
casinos are real.
you're getting a random or a mix, or if you're in Vegas, you're getting like very international. You're getting all kinds of people. When you go to different cities, you know the Chicago crowd is going to kill it. You know this one's going to be a little more like that. And sometimes you sort of, I do a little, you probably don't because you're like, who gives a fuck? But sometimes I know like, oh, this joke will be really well, they'll know I'm on their side with this one.
I do that.
And I do the little bit,
Heather, everywhere.
I'm like, I don't want them to think
care.
on this, so I'm going to do this,
I do.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I think like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it harder for myself.
Okay,
Trust me,
good.
I'm the same exact way. But if I heard that from a man in the audience, I would freak out.
Yeah.
I would freak out.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you. That would make
That was
me
probably
really...
it. Like, I'm just, mostly people that go see my shows, only once in a while will and sometimes people were like, I've said this a million times, but when people go, I'm going to come see you and I'm dragging my husband. And I said to my audience, stop saying you're dragging your husband, because if your husband got you tickets to see Chris Rock, you'd get a blowout and be super excited to go. So why don't you change the narrative to your husband and be like, you're going to love this girl. We're going to go see, if you love me and you like my sense of humor, you're going to love seeing this funny girl we're going to go see. And so now they do that. And they're like, my husband did love it. And I'm like, you're not helping the cause.
You're not.
If you think that men won't give him a little more credit. I'm like, because,
You're so right, Heather. I'm dragging my husband.
Yes.
I'm going to force my husband to come see you. It's going to be torture, but I'm really going to just make
Or they're like, I don't know what to do. None of my girlfriends can go. I'm like, but okay, first of all, you can come alone because you'll meet a bunch of people here.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, so what, and I don't think my husband will like it or something. And I'm like, you're so worried that your husband's not going to be 100% pleased for 90 minutes.
Right.
I'm like, so you've never gone to a sports thing or you've never been at something that your husband's taking you to and not loved every second. No, but you go.
I'm so glad that you're saying that.
Yeah.
That's very important. You're really I'm serious. You're really putting an incredible message out. I'm really that is so true.
Because I look out now and I do see, since I've been sending that message out, I do see a lot more men and even young men and stuff that I'm like, funny is funny. They're not, and especially if you tell your husband, I know you're going to love it. I just think sometimes they're afraid that when they see some of the bigger name female comics, if they catch them in their comic and it's very male bashing, I think that's why a woman goes, oh God, I don't want to bring my husband and have him fucking bitch about it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so then part of me has to be like, listen, I don't male bash.
Yeah.
I'm married to one. I'm raising two. I understand what we have to deal with in life.
Yeah.
We deserve a medal. But I'm also not men are a piece of shit and I'm not going to tell, horrific stories. But but I'm also give the guy a little more credit. He should probably, He'll like it. He'll be
No,
fine.
I'm glad you say that.
Yeah, because it's true.
It's important that you're saying all that.
Yeah, because that's so much of that is it, with the female comics and people of all different, races and everything where, yes, you might like somebody that is just like you because their life stories and their point of view might be like you. Like if you go to my show, a lot of women look like me in the audience. It's a similar thing. But it doesn't mean that they can't absolutely love the most different person from them too, So it's like I think sometimes people get wrapped up in that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Like, it's just comedy. Like, it's fun to hear people's different points of view that are different than yours.
It really, it is important.
Yeah.
And I think people are always surprised at what they think might find funny. Like,
yeah. So it's a good time to go see comedy.
It is.
Girl, tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can see you, because I know you have a lot of shows and everything.
I do. I'm on tour. They can go to jessicakirson.com. It's Kirson. And I'm on TikTok. I post a lot of those crowd work. Every day I post a crowd work video.
I love the TikTok.
Yeah. TikTok is Jessica Kirson. And Instagram is Jessie Kirson, Jessy Kirson. And yeah, I have a podcast called Disgusting Hawk, which I do a lot of character stuff on it, and I have people on it all the time, a lot of female comics.
Yeah.
I always am trying to help the female comics because we need all the help we can get. And I just love you. I think you're amazing. You're so real and down to earth. And you know what I want to say, which is really important, is you're so, I've always thought this about you, you're so naturally funny. I don't know if people tell you that a lot, but I mean, a lot of comics are funny, but you're very naturally funny.
Thanks.
Like you are. I've always thought that about you.
I am exactly what I am on stage or on the podcast.
You are.
I am that normally.
You are.
So it's like, know, and that's when you say people go, of course you'd be a comic. When my friends from childhood and stuff, they go, I'll tell my friends, no, she was exactly like that. At the sorority house in high school, whatever. And
well, that's why you're successful. Because I think the people that are the most successful are the most real in their art as they are off stage. Like, I think those are, for the most part,
well, that's
the
why I
most
always felt bad
successful.
for comics that, put on a straight persona on stage and had straight stories, but we knew they were gay. And I was like, that would suck.
Yeah.
Like, what if I had to get on stage and act like I had a girlfriend? Like, that'd be a hard thing to fake.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, that would
It's
be
hard.
that would be a really hard thing to fake for me to be like, oh, so my wife and I are, that would be so weird.
I would assume it would eat you alive.
I feel bad for
it would
anybody.
Eat you alive. Yeah,
that's why I feel bad. And there's been, years and years and years of people that had to do that.
I know.
So it's like, when people say what it is, I'm like, just don't think of what is popular. Like if you see other girls that look like you and they're doing one thing, like being really dirty or whatever, and that's their prerogative. I do that too. But I'm saying, like, know what I always say, what is unique about you? What's your thing?
That's what I
You're
say.
the only one that has your grandparents. You're the only one that grew up in your house with your family dynamic, with your point of view, with your weird school experience. Like, those are the things, those are the jokes no one can steal from you.
Yep.
Totally.
When
people always get
accused
accused of stealing a joke because they're like, I have a Tinder joke just like that. Fuck yeah, who doesn't?
Right. Make it your own.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
Also, that's the only way you'll be remembered. I mean, we need to know who you are when you get off stage.
Right.
Who are you?
Yes. Yeah.
It can't just be your opinion of something. We need to know who you. I mean, those are really the most successful people. Like, when people want to be friends with you, what's your story?
Right.
I don't know. That's who I laugh the most at.
Yes,
people
totally.
you get to know the most.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I loved having you come out from New York. Everyone's going to
for
follow
having
you.
me.
Have a good time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.